Now let's get to Governor Kathy Hochul winning big off of Zohran's momentum. Okay? As you guys know, Zohran is tremendously popular. Okay? There's no other way to cover it. He is developing very quickly a cult of personality around him. He's incredibly popular, partially because he was able to secure universal pre-K by the 8th day of his administration, of his mayoralty. Okay? 8 days in. Having said that, while he is doing a great job as a mayor, my expectation of Zohran and the expectation of many others like myself of Zohran is not that he would be a great mayor and basically fix the reputation of the Democratic Party, but also simultaneously be such a great mayor and a movement guy that he actually is the pivotal person that promotes the building and the organizational capabilities of socialism in the United States of America. Okay? Democratic Socialists of America. He is a movement guy himself. He is a real DSA guy. AOC was DSA endorsed, but did not spend, if I'm not mistaken, nearly as much time as Zohran has spent within the ranks of the Democratic Socialists of America in New York City. Zohran also has an activist background. Okay? There's a reason why I said he is the real deal. Because he created the Students for Justice in Palestine chapter in Bowdoin, however you say it. Okay? You don't do that kind of stuff if you're fake, if you're phony. You don't do that kind of stuff at a time when this is the third rail of American politics if you have ambitions of higher office. Before people say Zobama, there is no comparison between Obama and Zohran in that regard. If you look at his activist background, that's not what that shows. You need to understand something. No one who has ambitions of higher office is spending any fucking time near Students for Justice, SJP, way back in the fucking day. Okay? A lot of you have the perspective of today on the issue of Israel-Palestine, so you have no comparison. You have no comprehension of what a pro-Palestinian, anti-Zionist, anti-genocide position used to look like for your career ambitions. Okay? This is why maybe decisions like this one are even worse, in my opinion.
On the eve of her formal nomination as the Democratic candidate for governor, Kathy Hochul notches the long-expected endorsement of Mayor Mamdani. And it's giving her...
For me, I will admit, this is a ginormous disappointment. Okay? Straight up. If this cooks my chances of linking up with Zohran while I'm out here or in the future, so be it. I have to fucking stay honest. And I have to say my piece, okay? This is, once again, a ridiculous moment, okay? Totally unacceptable, especially considering that it didn't have to come so fucking early, okay? The reason why I say this is because Hochul was called a disgusting genocide apologist by Zohran Mamdani himself, both early on into the genocide, all the way back in the December of 2023, and then once again, I believe in July of 2024. Not only that, but also while Hochul has signed off on universal pre-K, there's a lot more in Zohran's agenda that she must sign off on, especially as it pertains to a wealth tax that he wants to apply in the city of New York. And I'm not so certain that that assurance has come from Kathy Hochul. We can argue on whether or not that's the appropriate thing to do, regardless, instead of putting in, quote unquote, our guy, Delgado, former lieutenant governor, who is the progressive choice in this in the gubernatorial race. Having said that, I don't think there's any fucking reason to hit this early pro Hochul line and kind of humiliate your closest allies, including people that know Zohran very well, a lot better than I do. Let's be real. But I see the other side of this as well, as I've talked about with the Chiose primary efforts being thwarted before it was ever launched. The reason why Delgado was backed by DSA affiliates and DSA other DSA candidates and people who are very close to Zohran Mamdani is because Delgado himself is not exactly a socialist either. Okay? Zohran gave his endorsement in the nation pretty much after spelling it out a week prior to this, but still gave his endorsement in the nation, saying, I'm endorsing Governor Kathy Hochul because she's someone willing to engage in honest dialogue that delivers results. Along with the movement that powered our campaign is how we secured a historic agreement on childcare, and we're just getting started. Here's the thing. Hochul, however you fucking say it, is an opportunist. And you can work with an opportunist. Okay? We got a taste of that with the New York, far before Zohran even became a nationally known figure in New York politics or in the Democratic Party. Hochul was anti-congestion pricing, and once that was actually forced through, she very quickly became the champion of congestion pricing in New York. That was the first indication that she's willing to fight tooth and nail up until the very moment where something passes, and then she'll be the biggest fucking champion of it. Rather than thwart the initiative and efforts all the way to the best of her ability, she is malleable. It's okay. Hassan is still learning the limitations of working within the Democratic Party. He needs 15 more cycles to be patient. Man, shut your bitch ass up, okay? Go fucking build communism in the United States of America, and then you can come back to me and do this cynical ass bullshit like I don't fucking know that this is still the Democratic Party is a fucking liberal capitalist party that has set up hurdles in front of any sort of left momentum, as though that's not a primary part of my fucking commentary. Shut the fuck up, okay? You're not brilliant. You're not making a brilliant fucking assessment. You are just a fucking moron that is relitigating the same things that I talk about with regular fucking frequency, okay? God damn it. It is one of the most annoying things I hear all the fucking time. Build communism now. Build it now. Build communism now. It's time for the vanguard. It's time for siege communism. Build it now. Build it now or shut the fuck up. You're not doing anything. A lot of you fucking morons act like there's a build communism button that I just refuse to fucking press. Okay? Jesus Christ. Shut up. Oh. I will be building communism tomorrow. How will I do it? By going and yelling at the largest fucking socialist content creator in North America in his Twitch chat. This is how I'm building the vanguard, okay? Hassan is the only hurdle against building communism tomorrow. If Hassan did not exist, we would have built the third-party communist momentum tomorrow. Hassan's entire purpose is to shepherd the actual revolutionary communists that are ready to fucking go back into the Democratic Party's, back into the comfortable bosom of the Democratic Party. He is a shepherd. He is an enemy. He is an op. If these are the type of opinions that you have, if you do not understand what I'm trying to do here, especially in this moment where I'm quite literally criticizing Zohran Mamdani for not playing a role in being the guy, being the movement builder that he is supposed to be, a responsibility that I think he understands that he carries, and the disappointment that I have in this very moment, okay, the disagreement that I have, you are a fucking moron. The purity testers legit need to be left behind woke 1.0? No. The problem is these guys don't understand where the fuck I'm coming from, okay? These guys don't understand where I'm coming from. I have the same opinion that they do. We have different methods. And in the absence of an alternative, in the absence of a fucking alternative, you don't have anything. You're just yelling at a guy trying to do something that you disagree with. Okay? I'm one person. I'm one singular person. I'm a fucking Twitch streamer. Okay? I try to use the platform that I've been able to develop for good to the best of my ability in terms of building socialism in this fucking country. And you think I'm the fucking opposition here. Okay? I thought that we would, at this point, we would be a little bit more aware of what this looks like, okay? Working within the confines of availability, the opportunity where there's an election machine in one of the two parties that is unfathomably weak right now because it's not fucking standing in opposition to the Republican fascists, using that as an opportunity to show that the left position is the more viable position to as many Americans as fucking possible, especially considering that a big part of this nation is still a bunch of small business Hitlerites and Treatlerites of different variety that have the most reactionary position on socialism because they're fucking oblivious about what socialism actually is, what communism actually is. Like, you have to use whatever fucking options are given to you, okay? A lot of you are completely fucking delusional. I'm the biggest socialist on the internet. Also, I'm just a small bean. No, this is your weakest argument. That's no one's argument. Stop strawmanning. We told you this would happen. Stop backing Democrats. Shut the fuck up. Shut up and build communism now. Shut up and build communism now. I'm banning you so you can go out there and actually fucking engage in the revolutionary organizing. Okay? Go out there and build communism right the fuck now. You're not doing it in this chat by yelling at me. Okay? Build communism yesterday. Build communism yesterday. Do it. The American working class does not see themselves as working class. They do not organize around their class position. Okay? We do not have the organizational tools to even apply real pressure to the Democratic Party at this point. Okay? When I ban you, think of it as though I am sending you to the fucking countryside to go and organize the revolutionary masses that have that potential. Okay? The American peasant class. A lot of you see any movement in the socialist direction and then go, okay, the time is now. Everyone is ready. They got a fucking copy of the Red Book in their pocket, in their chest pocket. They're armed. They're ready to fucking go. It's so funny that they're doing this at a moment when I'm also criticizing Zohran Mamdani's endorsement. And it's just everyone is like so fucking invested in this like idiotic I told you so moment with no fucking alternative. You have no alternative. You've done nothing. You think if you fucking chirp in this Twitch chat that is your absolute fucking best move in the direction of building a proletarian vanguard that is armed and ready to go, armed with the ideological backing of Marxist Leninist principles and ready to fucking build this revolution overnight. You are fucking delusional because you don't talk to anyone in the fucking real world. You do not talk to the average person. You do not organize. You do not see the normal person and how they still in this day and age, how they fucking operate when they hear about socialism or communism. Okay? You have direct access to Zohran. We do not. I'm sure you understand what the argument is. You're just assuming people aren't doing the work in the real world. No, dumbass. If they're doing the fucking work in the real world, they wouldn't be in here chirping. That's the point I'm making. Okay? Because if they were doing the work in the real world, they would have already seen how people react to socialism still to this fucking day. It's not there yet. Having said that, this is still a bad decision from Zohran Mamdani. The reason why I consider this to be a bad decision by Zohran Mamdani, here, let's just fucking listen
Zohran
to the
Mamdani.
article.
Why I am endorsing Kathy Hochul by Zohran Mamdani.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. People say about drivers save hundreds, save for situations.
The oral campaign. It is the foundation of my administration. It is also what Governor Kathy Hochul said as we celebrated an agreement to deliver universal child care, one of the largest expansions of the social safety net in our city's history. It is as consequential a policy victory as our movement has seen in quite some time. A burden of more than $22,500 lifted. The difference between whether or not a family can stay in the city they love with the children they want to raise. It was made possible by the nearly 100,000 volunteers who talked to millions of New Yorkers at their doors. But it would not have happened just 8 days into our administration, without Governor Hochul moving to provide more than $1 billion in state funding. We delivered this historic win together. Together we have fought to protect New Yorkers from ICE. Together we have defended our party, our democracy, and the ability of working New Yorkers to raise a family in the city they love. And together, we have forged a new era in the relationship between Albany and City Hall after too many years defined by pettiness instead of productivity. At a moment of crisis, we chose a different path. We respected one another's perspectives and committed to the idea that government should and must work even when it is hard. The governor and I do not agree on everything. We have real differences, particularly when it comes to taxation of the wealthiest. At a moment defined by profound income inequality, I continue to believe that the wealthiest among us can afford to pay just a little bit more. But for too long, our politics has been defined by a familiar cycle. Big promises, bitter fights, and little tangible progress. This stagnation has taken a toll. People are struggling to afford childcare, housing, and public transit. They are tired of being told to wait while they are crushed by an affordability crisis that drives out the very people who built this city.
Basically, the calculation here for Zohran is, do I actually lean in? Do I actually lean into Delgado, who is not a safe pick, or do I stand by with a governor that I've already been able to work with, that I've already gotten something done with, and hope that she will maintain her interest in defending the Zohran agenda? Okay, defending the left agenda. I think this is not the. I don't think this is the smart move. There is no guarantee that Kathy Hochul will, once she actually secures power once again, when the election is over and wins, is going to actually turn around and do anything for Zohran, and that if she doesn't do that, Zohran will just fucking fall flat on his face. Hochul is an opportunist and Delgado is an opportunist, but Hochul is an opportunist who is much more likely to win and who he has to work with at least through the next year. If he didn't back her, he would have to put up a hostile relationship for at least a year and most likely his whole term. Maybe you question the timing, though. That's precisely what I'm questioning. Because if you want to fucking secure leverage, you need to get more assurances from Kathy Hochul rather than immediately going in. If you take your sweet time in your endorsement of Kathy Hochul, what you can at least do is apply more pressure through Delgado. The pragmatic solution here is to see where Delgado goes. Instead of cutting the wind off of Delgado's sails with the incredible momentum that the DSA slate has in these elections, the appropriate and smart choice, the Machiavellian choice in this moment would once again still be to wait and fucking see. It's not like Delgado is the socialist candidate, right? And that Zohran is like choosing Hochul over the socialist candidate. What I'm frustrated by from my position is this. I want to be fucking radically transparent, radically honest in this moment. Okay? Because it's much easier for me to sit around and just be like, Zohran is my guy. He's doing the right thing. He's doing the best thing, and just glaze him. Okay? But I have to be fucking honest here. What I worry about as someone who has not only endorsed Zohran and has said like he's the real deal over and over again, my hopes, my dreams for Zohran Mamdani is that he utilizes the Democratic Party to build socialism, and that he doesn't become a person that utilizes the DSA as a door-knocking operation to build the Zohran brand and build the Democratic Party. Okay? These sorts of initiatives make me question whether or not he is building socialism or if he's just simply building the base of support for the Democratic Party. The goal here should not be to build the brand reputation of the Democratic Party, as the Democrats are doing everything in their fucking power to attack the left flank candidates over and over again. That's it. My expectation is not to for Zohran Mamdani to do like pie in the sky idealism either. At the end of the day, if it became clear that Kathy Hochul was going to absolutely fucking win, then of course Zohran should endorse Kathy Hochul. But every moment up until that endorsement is an opportunity to secure more concessions. Okay? That's it. Hassan, you act as if we have yet to build a revolutionary vanguard, but I and my comrades have already seized an American military base and munition stockpile in Wyoming and are currently marching on the nearby nuclear launch silo in order to put the fear of nuclear fire in the hearts of the global capitalist class. Let's go. Let's fucking go. If Zohran waits in this moment, he can take advantage of Delgado putting pressure on Hochul to assume more left-wing positions. And yes, I do think Zohran Mamdani has that level of political capital. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. 100%. I don't know if it's the insecurity that he feels, like he's too green, like he doesn't have the fucking momentum behind him. Maybe he doesn't recognize it, but he does have it. Okay? He does. He has it. I don't fucking believe Hochul, without like an appropriate shellacking, is actually going to lean into Zohran out of the kindness of her fucking heart. It's just not going to happen. It has never happened. Okay? Even if you don't trust Delgado, And that is part of the reason. That is part of this this like quote unquote betrayal. Doing this amidst a massive nurse strike where 15,000 nurses in New York City, one, got arrested yesterday for their participation in the work stoppage at a time when Hochul is also extending the emergency in an effort to continue not leaning into the demands being made by the fucking nurses. Like, doing this in this very moment is like unimaginably bad from even from the perspective of like New York politics, pro-labor politics in the fucking state of New York, in the city of New York. Okay? A lot of you that want to lean into this are doing so because you like Zohran. And I love Zohran. Okay? But the reasons why I like Zohran is because he's supposed to be fucking brave. He's supposed to be a representative of a different type of politics, not one that forcibly revitalizes the image of the Democratic Party, but the one that forces the Democratic Party to reckon with his position, a socialist position. Okay? The goal of the Bernie-crats must not be to defend the sanctity and the viability of the Democratic Party. The goal of the Democrats, the left flank Democrats, the Bernie-crats, should be to advance the agenda, okay? By force, by pure, raw, grassroots power. Whether that agenda be universal pre-K, universal child care, or whether that agenda be a wealth tax on some of the wealthiest individuals in New York City, we must not shy away from bullying establishment Democrats. It's not just about winning elections. It's about how you legislate beyond the elections, which is part of the reason why I wanted to come out here to New York City to show that Zohran's momentum as a competent administrator, to show that leftists are not these pie in the sky idealists that are silly and they get cast aside when they actually win power, but actually do deliver on the promises that they make and fight to achieve their agenda. Okay? Here's a DSA nurse that is striking in a tough spot. Mayor in support, Trevor, a nursing student in New York City DSA, and Bread and Roses, who's helping coordinate strike support, told the call that there were Zaddy, please save us signs at Sinai West when Zohran came to speak. However, given Zohran's endorsement of Hochul, he says it's going to be whiplash for a lot of rank and file now that it's clear that that won't happen. Trevor laments that the timing of this could not be more embarrassing to our movement. Zohran is in every ad for DSA on Instagram. I don't know how I can proudly tell nurses on the line that I'm a DSA member. In the labor movement, we have the saying, which side are you on? Zohran chose wrong. Even the Brooklyn Democrats retracted their endorsement of Hochul over her running mate Pig. Point is, Zohran's endorsement was unreasonably early and folded under zero pressure from local orgs. It doesn't end there. Because some people might be making the calculation that Zohran Mamdani is doing this because he's singularly focused on delivering the affordability agenda in New York. But this is not even good for being singularly focused on delivering the affordability agenda in New York. Because out of the 5-point plan, he only secured very early on universal pre-K. The point is, Zohran Mamdani must not be another Bill de Blasio, okay? The point is, Zohran Mamdani is supposed to be a socialist, a democratic socialist. Sure, his campaign that he's running on is a modest expansion of already existing social safety nets, you know, fixing some of the issues within New York public transit. But the most ambitious aspect of his otherwise still modest social democratic agenda is the wealthy tax on the super wealthy in New York City. That's the most consequential part of his policy making, especially when there's a fucking huge budget shortfall that he has to deal with as a consequence of Eric Adams' ineptitude or rank corruption. Let's be real. It's not even ineptitude. Bill de Blasio fought with the governor too much. Bill de Blasio did not have the same motion that Zohran Mamdani had. That's the difference. And Kathy Hochul is not Andrew Cuomo, a dynastic name that time and time again aligned with the New York Republicans in an effort to solidify his position of prominence in the fucking New York State legislature. Kathy Hochul is much weaker, especially with an election coming up, than Andrew Cuomo ever was. Zohran Mamdani is much more popular than Bill de Blasio ever was. The leverage is on the side of Zohran. The chips are in his hands. That's it. It sucks because I know that the social democrat position in this is to just shut the fuck up and say this is a good idea. Oh, everything that Zohran is doing is good. Let him cook. That's what people want me to say. I know for a fact that plenty of people will go, oh, here we go again. Hassan is not happy with anything that anybody ever does. But I am talking about strategy. And I hope you guys can understand that. My expectation is not that Zohran Mamdani lead the revolutionary vanguard. Okay? This is purely strategic. And it doesn't end there. AOC's endorsement of Hochul basically destroys any sort of pressure point that Hochul would have to withstand and make campaign promises on. It makes no sense.
An opportunity to attach herself to his star power and enthusiastic base of young left-of-center supporters. Political reporter Marcia Kramer is here now with more. Marcia.
Okay, Jay, it's clear from the way Kathy Hochul has structured the rollout of her campaign for re-election that she's hoping to appeal to both progressives and more middle-of-the-road voters, balancing her choice of a more moderate running mate in Adrian Adams with the endorsement of Mayor Mamdani.
This is an endorsement that reflects a sincere belief in the partnership that we have been building.
Mayor Mamdani explaining his decision to back Kathy Hochul's re-election after he formally endorsed her in a long essay in The Nation. He played up the fact that even people from opposing wings of the party can forge a fruitful working relationship. The governor and I do not agree on everything. We have real differences, particularly when it comes to taxation of the wealthiest, Mamdani said, adding that we must be able to disagree honestly while still delivering for the people we serve. Over the past 6 months, Governor Hochul and I have done exactly that. The endorsement came as Kathy Hochul was appearing in Syracuse with her newly selected running mate, former City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, giving her the ability to corral the yin and the yang of the party. Mamdani.
The worst part about it is that the dual ticket here for Delgado comes with India Walton, who is the DSA choice, who was the Zohran Mamdani before Zohran Mamdani ever existed. India Walton, who I've obviously met at the Zohran Mamdani election victory party, was the famous socialist mayor that won the Buffalo Buffalo mayoral primary, who then the entire state Democratic Party apparatus came down on with a fucking last-second write-in candidacy for the establishment Democrat, who was the incumbent, who then literally fucking won with the write-in candidacy in the general, and then left the position after selling off rights to a fucking casino. A lot of you are probably unfamiliar with the history of the New York DSA. Byron Brown won back the incumbency with a write-in candidacy after he lost the primary to Buffalo. The Buffalo primary to India Walton. Okay? India Walton is Delgado's lieutenant governor on the pick.
His progressive base and the more moderate outer borough supporters of Adams.
This job is not about our egos. It is not. It is about how we put our own desires and ambitions aside and put the people of this great state, 20 million people who look to us every day to help them get out of their circumstance. You put that first.
But Republicans immediately tried to turn the coveted endorsement against her, labeling Mamdani, quote, an anti-Semitic communist who stands against everything America stands for. State Party spokesman David Laska adding, quote, what new taxes and radical proposals did Kathy Hochul promise Zohran Mamdani in exchange for his support? Law professor J.C. Polanco says it's now up to expected Republican nominee Bruce Blakeman to pick a running mate that creates an exciting ticket for his party.
And I'm not here to give advice to Bruce Blakeman, but you have to play chess here. Governor Hochul is playing chess. She understands the map. She's from Western New York. She picks someone from Queens, a woman, first black woman speaker of the city council who's a centrist. Your job now, County Executive Blakeman, is how can you compete with that?
Now, J.C. Polanco suggested a few possible Republican running mates, including former Council Minority Leader Joe Barone.
I wonder if Mamdani's betting on the fact that Delgado can win without his endorsement. No, Delgado was not a fucking... Delgado was a long shot even with Zohran's endorsement. I still believe that if like AOC and the Bernie Crats and Zohran Mamdani backed Delgado, he would have at least had a shot of unseating Kathy Hochul. It's just that they didn't want to fight that fight. It's very obvious that they're playing really scared. Okay? They're moving not like a unit that has all the fucking momentum, but they're moving as though they don't want any sort of blemish on the agenda. Okay? That's it. That's it. They don't want to fight any fights. It's the same principle behind cutting Chiose out from ever running against Hakeem Jeffries. And even if there was more, like even if the argument, even if it was a more understandable argument from Zohran Mamdani at that point for that specific disruptive candidacy by Chiose, this one is, in my opinion, even crazier than that. Okay? And I did not like the timing of that like anti-endorsement against Chiose from the start. And I was very open about my criticisms then. But this is even worse than that, in my opinion. If Hochul had run with India Walton, what would that look like? I mean, that would never happen because if I'm not mistaken, someone was saying in the chat that Hochul's husband was in opposition to India Walton, and Hochul herself was in opposition to India Walton, and Hochul's husband is like a beneficiary of the casino corporation that Byron, the incumbent in Buffalo, ended up working for, and maintained his position of power as the Buffalo mayor, specifically so that he could offer favorable contracts to the casino that he ended up resigning and going to work for, by the way. Hochul herself refused to endorse Walton for mayor when she won her primary in Buffalo. She lost because of an establishment organized writing campaign. I know, I talked about it already. There was no good option here. Delgado is not better than Hochul and has damaged credibility in Albany. Hochul sucks, but is currently in power, and no matter who said what is more likely to win. We don't know what happened behind closed doors. I think he's earned at least some charitability, but the leash is short. Yeah. I think the most fucked up aspect of this is the timing, okay? That's it. Adam Carlson says, I genuinely can't envision a path of victory for Antonio Delgado at this point. Before this, there was a slight chance he could harness progressive lefty anger at Hochul for not taxing the rich, etc. Things that got testy with Mamdani, but now it feels like the door is officially closed. This, in my opinion, this kills the taxing the wealthy momentum. That's why I'm frustrated, okay? I'm frustrated for 3 different major reasons. Number one, this, in my opinion, makes launching the most important aspect of Zohran's agenda way, way more fucking difficult. Okay? That's number one. It makes taxing the wealthy harder. Okay? Because there is no more leverage and no more pressure point to apply on Hochul to literally come out and say she's on board with this. Okay? Buying goodwill is not going to be enough for people like this when their primary purpose is to rat fuck the likes of Zohran and everybody else. That's number one. Okay? You don't win power by getting a good-natured, closed-door handshake agreement. You win power by forcing these guys to concede on those positions publicly. And there's never been a moment where she said she's down for this. Okay? Number two, if you're supposed to be the face of a movement, if you're supposed to be the movement guy, your job shouldn't be to build the Democratic Party's prestige. Okay? Your job is to create more opportunities to apply pressure on the Democratic Party by winning additional seats for people who are more pliant, for people who are going to be your loyal servants, your loyal soldiers in positions of power. This means getting allies elected. This means sometimes fucking fighting against the establishment candidates. And last but not least, okay, but when did Zohran say he was the face of the movement? Okay, dude, what the fuck kind of argument is this? What the fuck kind of argument is this? You think Zohran Mamdani ran to just be the mayor? Is that what you think? Really? If that was the case, why didn't he run like Brad Lander? He could have easily fucking skirted by being more dynamic and younger than Brad Lander, and he would have been fine. There's a reason why he won and not Brad Lander. Okay? Being a good mayor does a lot more for the movement than picking a fight with the governor. You're not picking a fight with the governor. You're forcing the governor to reckon with the amount of motion that you fucking have. I disagree with you. Zohran's endorsement or non-endorsement or even delayed timing doesn't really pressure Hochul on the tax on the wealth. Zohran is a smart guy. Why do we always assume our electeds are being fleeced? What actually will pressure on tax increases? DSA winning all 8 of our elections in the New York DSA slate. They're going to meet on Sunday. Zohran's approval rating will help them get elected. Chatter, that's a totally separate thing, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. Those two things align with one another. Obviously, you know where I stand on this, considering that you know the fact that I assume you're a New York DSA person, okay? I'm going to be fucking doing the DSA slate on Sunday. Jesus fucking Christ. Listen, I like when you have a charismatic figure who is making unilateral decisions, okay? I don't like that the New York DSA does not have any sort of like punishment mechanism or a protocol to keep electeds in check. They don't. That's just the case. They don't. And I actually do like that people make unilateral decisions because unfortunately our movement is disorganized. Okay? And although I'm not a part of New York DSA, I'm saying our movement. Okay? That's it. Having said that, when someone is making unilateral decisions, I wish that they would be making unilateral decisions that actually apply more pressure to the people in positions of power and have more confidence in their momentum and have more confidence in their fucking movement. Rather than one that they predict will make things easier for them to govern as a mayor. Zohran Mamdani is not just a fucking mayor. Okay? He's not. There's a reason why he is an internationally known figure now. You're talking about this like Zohran didn't understand the strategy here and was just incompetent. He knew, which is why this sucks so much. I know. Do you want the DSA to be a fucking door-knocking operation for electeds that make a prominent, become like prominent national and sometimes international figures? Or do you want this to be the beginnings of a robust socialist organizational movement? Which one is it? What do you want? If you want to keep door knocking for candidates, then yeah, great. This is awesome. He's going to fucking kill as the mayor. And then maybe down the line, there will be more people that will vote vote for Democratic Socialists. And then once those Democratic Socialists are elected, you know, they'll do their very best to highlight and identify and defend non-socialist electeds who are actually a stopgap measure for more socialists being elected or even socialist policy being implemented. If Z waits a year for wins, he's definitely going the de Blasio way. His strategy here is definitely right. Delgado is no less opportunistic, and Hochul has a lot of power to help or hurt Zohran immediately. He can alienate her and get nothing done for a year and then maybe have an ally, but maybe not. Two ways to miss, Delgado being risky, or he can go with the person who seems game to make him their opportunity and take it from there. Oh. There is no reason, in my opinion, this is a miscalculation, and there is no reason to fucking endorse this early, in my opinion. This whole conversation is just this. This art from the New Yorker really sparked a lot of debate, and I want to know what you think about. Is it right? We are assigning a role to Zohran he never set out to have. That's not true. That's not true. You're wrong about that. Okay? You're wrong. He's focused on New York City. He will never prioritize a national movement over that. I think it's been clear in his politics since he started running, but a lot of people have thought of him as something bigger than he sees himself as. It sucks, but I don't think it should be surprising. No, that's literally not true. You're not right. You're wrong. Okay? That's it. If that was the case, he would be, and I don't have, look, he would be anti-Zionist Brad Lander if that was the case. Okay? You're wrong. New York City politics has always had national implications. Even when it was fucking Eric Adams, it was even more transparent that New York City politics was supposed to have national implications because the Democratic Party was, really pumping Eric Adams as like the face of the movement. The reason why Zohran has international implications is because of who he is and what he represents. Anyone that says that that's not the case, is missing the forest for the fucking trees. What's your general take on the Hochul endorsement? Like, I understand the calculation that he's making. I think it's wrong. That's it. Especially what the time calls for, what today calls for. It's not like I'm saying, build communism now, build communism tomorrow. But these kinds of moves are, in my opinion, short-sighted. It offers more defense for the Democratic Party, establishment Democrats in particular, because you assume that they're going to be pliant because you're playing ball with them, than it does winning that power by making pressure stick. Those of us entrusted with the sacred oath of service must heed that call and work together to honor it. That requires not the absence of disagreement, but the presence of trust. We must be able to disagree honestly while still delivering for people that we serve. Well, that's what I think too about my criticisms of Zohran Mamdani here. Over the past 6 months, Governor Hochul and I have done exactly that. This experience matters because the challenges ahead are real. New York City faces budget hardships, an affordability crisis that rages on, and an urgent need for government to deliver. The temptation is to allow difference to turn into distrust. But over the course of our relationship, I have come to trust Governor Hochul as someone willing to engage in an honest dialogue that leads to results. Okay? As we face threats from Washington, she has defended our social safety net and protected funding from critical infrastructure projects. At its best, the Democratic Party has been a big tent, not because it avoids conflict, but because it channels conflict towards progress. A party united by, not by conformity, but by a commitment to structural change and to the work required to achieve it. I've seen a model for what that can look like with my collaboration with Governor Hochul, a relationship built on candor, a shared commitment to a government that is equal parts competent and trustworthy, and results that working people can feel in their day-to-day lives. The success of our movement will be defined by the success of our government. New Yorkers deserve leaders who believe in that transformation, leaders who understand that hope is inspired by a vision and sustained by change. Governor Kathy Hochul has earned my endorsement because she has chosen to govern in that spirit, and in this moment, that choice matters. Can you clarify that if you're more upset by the timing of this endorsement and not holding out for more concessions or just endorsing Kathy in general? Yes. It's the timing of this endorsement, in my opinion, that is the massive mistake. Because given how Delgado moved, right? Given how Delgado moved, even the protective endorsement should come much later down the line. Okay? Where do you get the idea that Zohran sees himself as a movement leader and has aspirations of being a national figure? Oh, I think whether or not he sees himself as that, which I do think he sees himself as that, it doesn't fucking matter. He is that, okay? Zohran was an advocate for the 1, 2, 3, 4 plan in New York City, which didn't pass back in the day. He absolutely has a vision for DSA, but there are so many contradictions that he has to face now with executive power. If we're being honest, the campaign went better than expected. I don't think there was a clear plan on how to actually govern as a socialist without a legislative mandate, especially considering a tit-for-tat measure here. The reality of the matter is, considering how all of these figures that he is now sitting around and defending unconditionally took their sweet-ass time to fucking defend Zohran or endorse Zohran, he has every opportunity to wait, okay? That's it. Hochul, say Hochul. You're saying it wrong. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Now, this in and of itself is not me like pulling out the fucking ripcord and being like, fuck Zohran, he's compromised, Zohran Mamdani. I have a lot more room for disagreement with, electeds that are closest to me ideologically than many chatters do. Let's be real. That's why they call me the fucking sheepdog of the Democratic Party around these parts and say that I'm actually in opposition to real revolutionary politics in this country. Okay? Same goes for Bernard Sanders, same goes for AOC, and same goes for Zohran Mamdani. Okay? No one calls you that, Lamau. No, the fucking the real revolutionary figures in my chat who have actually overtaken forward operating bases in the United States of America that are ready to build the peasant revolution, the peasant rebellion in the United States of America, are in the fucking trenches, armed with AK-47s. They're ready to storm. They're ready to storm the fucking barracks. Okay. They're ready to storm the barracks armed with a copy of the fucking Red Book on one hand and an AK-47 on the other. Okay? And I'm holding them back and I'm telling them, please vote blue no matter who, obviously. The reason why they say that is because I take this approach where I am, I guess, much more forgiving to socialist and social democrat electeds than random fucking YouTubers are in general. They think I'm doing that because I want to boost my fucking profile, boost my platform in the national front, and only care about, I'm only self-interested. I do it because, once again, I think that there is a pathway to build real change in this fucking country's politics, a country's politics that is at least aware, or at least factors in its analysis how fucking reactionary the average working class person is. All I ask for clear explanation on seemingly counterproductive decisions. He owes that to his base. I'm not New York City DSA, but I am DSA, and this just doesn't make any sense, especially considering how galvanizing fighting for policies and principles that were already elected into office can be. Yeah, Zohran Mamdani won not because he moderated. Zohran Mamdani won because he stood strong and proud on specifically his anti-Israel position, for example. Another area that he has seemingly not fully conceded on, but certainly has tried to play ball with, like, these people who will never actually feel satiated by his I'm combating anti-Semitism position. I'm sure Zohran recognizes his position as the new face of American socialism. I just don't think he'll prioritize it over what he sees as accomplishing internal city politics. Now, that's something we can criticize him on, but I think that's his perspective. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this, but my criticisms have also not only been about him being a movement guy or the face of a movement, but also a guy who could do both at the same time by holding out on his fucking endorsement of Kathy Hochul. Do you notice that I said that it's the timing of this endorsement? It's not that, like, he would ever endorse Kathy Hochul. It's the fact that he endorsed Kathy Hochul early on without seeing whichever way the winds would blow with Delgado. Do you notice that that was my main point of contention here? Especially considering that a Hochul endorsement could come down the line, especially if it was very obvious that Delgado had no fucking path towards winning. He could utilize the DSA to keep pumping Delgado, to keep door knocking for Delgado, to keep pumping for Delgado, and see how he decides when it's a little bit fucking closer. Because I think in the absence of his endorsement of Kathy Hochul, there is a real room for unseating Kathy Hochul with a much more pliant Delgado. Okay? And if that's not happening, if there was no opportunity for Delgado, then he fucking says, hey, I'm endorsing Kathy Hochul. We've had a great back and forth so far, very productive so far. Kathy Hochul has the same fucking vision for the future of the Democrats that I do, you know? That's it. On the one hand, you can't celebrate Zohran Mamdani's upset victory in the New York primaries, in the New York mayoral primaries, and then be like, well, there's no other options. Now it's time to play safe. You're being fucking ridiculous. It's the exact same energy. My commentary on the issue is for nothing if you also are playing scared. My commentary on this issue is irrelevant, is utterly irrelevant if we are going to then justify playing scared. Scared money don't make no money, okay? Anyway, now we're going to switch gears, and I'm going to talk to Don Lemon, a newly minted folk hero, Don Lemon, about his arrest and numerous other things that are going on. But let me finish this off real quick, and I got to go pee real quick as well.
And Brooklyn Councilwoman Ina Vernikov. Personally, I think he needs to pick a mom because Hochul is laying claim to running on a 2-mom ticket. So, guys, both of you are moms. Anybody interested?
Oh, no, thank you.
No. Politics, not
You're
on the radar.
You're a mom, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? We'll see what the next chess move is, right?
We will.
Okay, thank you, Marcia.
Across this country, day after day, we bear witness to cruelty that staggers the conscience. Masked agents paid by our own tax dollars violate the Constitution and visit terror upon our neighbors. They arrive as if atop a pale horse, and they leave a path of wreckage in their wake. People ripped from their cars, guns drawn against the unarmed, families torn apart, lives shattered, quietly, swiftly, brutally. If these are not attacks upon the stranger among us, what is? This cruelty is no faraway concept. ICE operates.
God, he's a fucking... His team is so solid, by the way. Even the fucking Nation article is so well written. I mean, I just... It makes me extra upset because I feel like it literally is going to waste for Kathy Hochul this early on. You know what I mean? Squashing the beef with Don Lemon. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing right now. Hold on. Let me get in here.